right, hello. As you all know, my name is Natasha, and I'm the CEO, co-founder of a company called Vaundry. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my journey from corporate, yep, that looks like me, or used to be, to solving, oh, the animation's gone. My text's not showing up, but anyways, to solving the worst chore in the world. And you might wonder, why would someone with a corporate position, you know, doing so great, want to solve something as boring and mundane as doing your laundry? And so this is probably something like what my trunk would look like. And I'd always find that every weekend I'd be waiting for the opportune moment to get to the dry cleaners. And I was like, why is it so inconvenient? Why are my clothes always in the trunk? Why is this never getting done? But in the meanwhile, if I have to do anything else, it happens. And so I thought about this and I pondered and I was like, why is the clothing care industry, which is, by the way, a multi-billion-dollar industry when it comes to dry cleaning and garment care in general, why is it not in line with the times? And so I thought about, my slides are not exactly as they were meant to be, but it really just started with an idea, and I thought about from day to day, the services that I'm using, whether it be like to get a meal or a cab, technology has become so important for all of us, and convenience and, you know, having businesses that are helping us have more time for ourselves. And that ultimately became the company that I started with my co-founder, who's also in the audience, Harsha. So put simply, Vaundry is dry cleaning and laundry, picked up, cleaned, and delivered to you. And that's fundamentally what we do as a business. But of course, our vision is much larger. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit today about my transition from taking an idea, building a company, and the things that I, as a corporate person, or once upon a time corporate person, has learned about what it's really like to start a company. And I'd like to share those valuable lessons with you. So first of all, I started this business thinking, I talked to some of my friends who were in investment banking, and they were like, oh my God, this is so cool. It'll be like Uber for laundry, and click, click, click. You're going to have 1,000 customers tomorrow. No. That is not how it works to start a company. And if you're focused on a business that makes it convenient for people, you can betcha that your life will be anything but convenient. And so you have to be okay with being uncomfortable and being cozy with taking risk. Now, I know we all think about risk from a financial perspective, but I think apart from leaving my job and doing this full time, I think the risks that I would say are the most relevant are all the different things that you assume about how a company will grow, how will your customers react. Yeah, this sounds like common logic. Everyone who I've met today is like, oh my God, sign me up, I'm a customer. But when you don't know me and the company is not known to you, will you trust your Armani suit going out your door with someone you don't know? So there's so many different aspects of trust and gaining that and having customers really sign up with you that you don't necessarily think about when you're starting a company. And so that's why you have to really be okay and comfortable with knowing that it's not going to be straight, and you know, you'll make do with it. You also have to have blind faith in your vision. So I mean, we do pick up and delivery for laundry and dry cleaning, but our vision is much larger than that. As I mentioned, we're working with a multi-billion-dollar industry, so we're working with vendors who are professionals in the cleaning business, but ultimately, we're trying to bring technology to a business that's archaic. There's so many things from, you know, smart tagging to RFID to vendor management to driver management. There's so many different technology pieces that can be built to make it ultimately easier for you as the end user to use a service like this. And that's really where our focus is, and that's the vision we keep in mind when day to day, or when we first started, I was the girl picking up your laundry, you know, throwing it in my car and figuring out how it works. But even with all that being said, I'd say that ultimately you have to have a lot of grit. It is really difficult to start a business. I know my fellow founders in the room here can relate to this. And I think an example that I'd like to share with you that you might relate to is Airbnb. I mean, we all know about them. But 2 years into their business, they only had a recurring revenue of $200 a week. They probably make more than that every second. And still, the founders kept going. They believed in their vision. They knew what risks they were taking, and that didn't deter them from reaching where they are today. And that's kind of why they're a company as big as they are. And so there is no perfect time to leave your corporate job and pick up someone's laundry. There is no the right time. If you have an idea and you think there's potential, I invite you to try it because you want to build your own dreams, not someone else's. And so with that, thank you for your time. We are also hiring. That's where we're located. And if you're interested, especially full stack developer, we're looking for help with technology. We have a lot to build. You can talk to Harsha, who FYI is also my husband. It seems to be a theme in the room. And also a promo code to try us out, TechTO 10. And if you have any other questions, I'll be around and I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Cool.
And one more lesson, don't be a perfectionist. My slides didn't render as they were, but you have to keep going.
Questions?
In the back.
I wanted to ask, how did you gain that trust from your customers?
So we started really small, and I think as a company, we systematically focused on not being so fussed with scale in the early days, but really loving our customer and understanding them. And I think referrals has been something that's the strongest way to garner trust because your friends are telling you that this is a service you can trust. And I think in the early days, for many, many months, my co-founder and myself would do the runs. And I think a lot of our customers were aware that these are the people who've started the company. And I think that kind of thing is really important to do the dirty work, to do the grunt work, because you won't really appreciate how hard a business like this is if you just go hire a bunch of drivers to do it for you. Yeah.
Actually, you illuminated a lot of things. I was thinking what you started with, like mundane startup, sure, but you did illuminate a lot of factors in it that I didn't think about. Trust, for instance. So in a trust-based business, which now I don't think is mundane, by the way, in a trust-based business, how did you go about getting customer zero? Because that's pretty much what every founder, I think, wants to know about. Customer
zero. So for us, that actually ended up being someone that lived in our building. As a startup founder, you will solicit and do everything that is illegal, and like from being a corporate, like, you know, the gray zone, you're like corporate and you're like, oh yeah, this is me. And then now I'm like trying to figure out how to get print flyers out in buildings, which is extremely expensive because you can't solicit in Canada Post is, you know, just this small company that doesn't charge very much. But I think for us, we got lucky in the sense that we had our first customer from our building where we had put flyers. And actually, out of all the buildings I did that in, the one that yelled at us was the building that we lived in. And they didn't know that it was us. But I think, you know, having that conversation, and, you know, some people are more open to this, and like they're okay with it because they really value the convenience. And so just talking up front, and like, you know, we had a good website, and I think having like pictures, I mean, obviously you're not going to have reviews at day zero, and we never asked our friends to do any of that because we wanted to be legit. And so I think just, like I said, you know, talking to them, you know, being sincere about it and going out of your way to give them an amazing experience. We do like text reminders, and we're building, you know, software, like I said. So I think all of that kind of plays into it. And then now, of course, we feed off reviews and referrals.
Last question.
Hi, I'm over here.
Yes.
So my question's about scale. I mean, I don't know where you're at with your business at the moment, and clearly getting into new markets, there's going to be a certain level of letting go of what you can control and designing systems to be able to create trust beyond that. Are you looking at partnering models with, you know, I guess dry cleaners in new cities and whatever else, and drivers, and what sort of models are you looking at the moment?
Of course. So that's a very valid question. And for what we do, as opposed to a lot of delivery startups, we have pickup and delivery, and then we have the quality of the cleaning. So it's very different to like delivering food. And of course, vetting the vendors that we work with. And so to answer your question, we're a year into our journey, and so we're growing. I mean, I think scaling at a larger level is the next big thing for us, and which is why fundraising is very relevant and something that I'm working on now. We were bootstrapped, and we had some initial like internal sources of financing, and now we're looking to really kind of get out there. And I think to talk a little bit about that, for us, we would like to have the ability to, obviously, I mean, I can't be out there doing deliveries everywhere I go, and it would be impossible. But I think having a model where it's not purely contracted, like Uber, for example, because you don't want drivers to just be throwing people's clothes or doing things. So I think having a model where you have employees, or even if they're on a part-time basis, and making them feel part of the company in terms of like growing and all of that, but then using maybe their vehicles, or like, kind of partly outsourcing some of that, because if we were to go and buy like a fleet of 100 cars, it wouldn't really be a viable business model. Also, we don't say that we're Uber for laundry. We're very focused on the fact that laundry and dry cleaning is a systematic, routine activity, and that's how we've programmed our business, so that we're not, we've learned from the mistakes of some huge companies doing what we do that have failed, and so we pick up and deliver between 7 and 10 at night. It's on a routine basis, and so I think for us to scale, we have to kind of follow that sort of structure, because if we try to be everybody's company and try to be on demand, it won't work. And of course, I mean, we'd like to go across Canada to the densest cities, and then, the world is open and everyone hates laundry.